how to rewire your brain to make more money. They told you money is evil, that wanting more is greed, that ambition is dangerous, that wealth is for the lucky, the born rich, or the corrupt, and you believe them. But what if I told you the greatest lie ever sold wasn't about money itself? It was about the mind you were taught to use when thinking about it, because the war isn't outside you, it's not in the economy, it's in your wiring. And if you don't rewire it, you'll spend your entire life building someone else's fortune while praying for pennies to survive. Let me break this open for you. The richest men in history, Carnegie, Rockefeller, Ford, Disney, Jobs, weren't born with money. They were born with something far more powerful. A mental framework, a system of belief, clarity, discipline, and decision that allowed them to generate wealth like a furnace generates fire. They thought differently. And because they thought differently, they acted differently. And because they acted differently, the universe obeyed them. You are not broke because of your job. You are not poor because of your past. You are not stuck because of the system. You are stuck because your subconscious blueprint is still wired for survival when it needs to be wired for abundance. Understand this. Your brain is not designed to make you rich. It is designed to keep you safe. Safe from risk, safe from embarrassment, safe from discomfort, safe from change. But safety is the enemy of wealth because money moves where courage leads. And courage doesn't come from the world, it comes from belief. When Thomas Edison failed 10,000 times to invent the light bulb, he wasn't chasing money, he was chasing vision. But that vision made him unstoppable, and unstoppable men don't ask permission to be wealthy, they decide. Edison rewired his mind to see failure as feedback, to see obstacles as signals, to see the invisible as more real than the physical. That's the first step to rewiring your brain. Detach from your present reality and attach to a vision bigger than your limitations. Stop waiting for your bank account to tell you what's possible. Start letting your vision dictate your next move. Because here's the truth nobody tells you. Money flows to identity. You don't attract wealth by wanting it. You attract it by becoming the kind of person who commands it. Your identity is the thermostat of your financial life. If you see yourself as average, your income will fall in line with average. If you see yourself as a builder, a producer, a leader, wealth will begin to move toward you. Because wealth obeys conviction, not credentials. Let me be brutally honest. If you're still blaming the government, your boss, your parents, or the world, you're not ready for wealth. Because wealth begins the moment you take total responsibility for the condition of your mind. You must become the architect of your internal world, not its victim. You must be willing to unlearn everything you were taught about money and rebuild a new belief system from the ground up. Andrew Carnegie was a poor Scottish immigrant. He worked for $1.20 a week as a bobbin boy in a cotton mill. But in his mind, he was already rich. He carried a secret, a white-hot inner image of who he would become. Not someday, not maybe, not if things worked out. He believed it like a law of nature. And because he believed it, his mind found the way. That's how it works. The subconscious mind is a servant, not a master. It will carry out whatever blueprint you install. Most people install scarcity, fear, doubt, and guilt, and then wonder why they can't make more money. But when you install vision, certainty, clarity, and purpose, your mind becomes a magnet for solutions. Money is attracted to those who move with clarity and conviction, not those who hope, not those who beg, not those who wait for a sign. Because here's the paradox. The brain does not change through knowledge. It changes through decision. One powerful, soul-piercing, non-negotiable decision can do what 10 years of education never could. Not the decision to try, not the decision to see how it goes, the decision to become the kind of person who earns, creates, and distributes wealth with power and purpose. It is the decision to burn the boats, like Cortés did when he landed on the shores of Mexico, to remove retreat as an option. Because if you leave an exit open, the brain will take it. Your brain will always default to the familiar unless you teach it a new pattern. And that pattern must be installed intentionally, just like software. You want to rewire your brain to make more money, then you must program it for abundance on purpose every day. Wake up and declare, I am not here to survive. I am here to create. I do not fear wealth. I welcome it as my duty to serve. I am the source of value. I am the vessel for prosperity. I am the bridge between vision and reality. I say it, repeat it, live it. Because repetition is the language of the subconscious. And the mind believes what it hears most often, and especially from you. Henry Ford once said, whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right. That wasn't a slogan. It was a neurological law. The brain literally builds pathways based on what you expect. If you expect poverty, it will find ways to confirm it. If you expect wealth, it will scan the world to find opportunity. But expectation requires belief, and belief is built through evidence. So give yourself evidence. Start with one win, one sale, one creation, one decision that proves you are not who you used to be. Build momentum like a snowball, not because it's easy, but because it's non-negotiable. Do not seek comfort, seek power. Do not wait to be ready. Move while you're afraid, because courage is the bridge between poverty and wealth. And that bridge is built with bricks of consistent, focused, disciplined thought. So here is the question most never dare to ask themselves: what am I rehearsing in my mind every single day? Are you rehearsing defeat? Are you rehearsing lack? Are you playing the same internal movie of doubt, fear, and financial limitation over and over, and expecting prosperity to walk through the door? Because here's the unspoken truth. Your outer world will never outgrow the movie playing inside your mind. Your income is just a reflection of your internal patterns, your habitual thoughts, your self-image, your standards, your non-negotiables. Most people never examine the script they've been handed. They memorize it. They follow it. They cling to it as if it's their identity, not realizing it was written by teachers who never built wealth, by parents who feared risk, by a culture that celebrates safety and demonizes ambition. But you are not here to follow someone else's script. You are here to write your own. You must become the director of your thoughts, the author of your beliefs, the sculptor of your inner world until it matches the life you were born to live. This is how you rewire your brain to make more money. You starve the old story. You feed the new one daily, ruthlessly, intentionally, not once, not when it's convenient. Not only when you feel good every single day. Just like Carnegie read his definite purpose aloud morning and night. Just like Otto's suggestion is the bridge between thought and reality. Just like every master of wealth who first conquered the inner battlefield before laying claim to outer riches. And that battlefield, it's your habits of thinking. It's that split second when your brain whispers you're not good enough. You've never done this before. You don't have what it takes. And you either believe it or break it. That's the line. That's the pivot point of every wealthy life. Not talent, not luck, not inheritance, but who wins the moment when doubt enters the room. Because doubt is not truth. Doubt is inertia. And inertia is the force that keeps the average man broke. It's not because he lacks intelligence. It's because he lacks mental momentum. He wakes up and reacts. He scrolls, he complains, he drifts. He lets the world decide what he thinks. And so his financial life remains in chains, forged by his own inaction. But the man who rewires his brain, he wakes up and commands the day. He doesn't hope for money. He prepares for it. He builds structures, systems, strategies. He disciplines his thinking like a warrior sharpens a sword, because that's what wealth requires. It's not a lottery. It's not a wish. It's a system of thoughts and actions so deliberate, so repeated, so practiced that results become inevitable. Tesla once said, if you want to understand the secrets of the universe, think in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration. Now apply that to your brain. What frequency do your thoughts emit? What energy do your beliefs carry? What vibration does your vision resonate on? Are you tuned to fear or power, to reaction or creation? Because money is energy, and energy is obedient to intention. You want to rewire your brain to make more money, you must first raise your internal frequency to match the reality you want. You cannot attract wealth from a state of guilt, fear, or scarcity. You must rise. Rise in thought. Rise in identity. Rise in action. Because every time you think like a wealthy person, speak like a wealthy person, plan like a wealthy person, you become one. Not because the money is there yet, but because the pattern is. And once the pattern is locked in, the results will follow. But beware, this is where most people fail. They say affirmations, they watch the videos. But when the pressure comes, they default. Back to safety, back to fear, back to the old them. And that's when the wiring undoes itself. Because repetition isn't just about practice. It's about response under pressure. You want to know who you really are. Watch yourself when everything goes wrong. That's when the subconscious reveals itself. That's when your wiring speaks. And if it's still wired for poverty, it will panic, shrink, retreat. But if it's wired for power, it will adapt, it will solve, it will rise, like a phoenix from fire because it was trained for this. This is not inspiration. This is biology. Neuroscience had confirmed decades ago. The brain can literally rewire its pathways based on focus. emotion, and repetition. You are not stuck. You are programmable. And every thought you allow is either reinforcing poverty or reinforcing power. So ask yourself, what kind of thoughts am I repeating? What internal language am I normalizing? What kind of wealth blueprint am I reinforcing every morning when I look in the mirror? Because money doesn't start in the wallet, it starts in the identity. And identity is nothing more than belief plus repetition plus decision. Decide who you are, repeat it until it's law, and act in alignment with that identity until reality bends to match it. Disney knew this, broke, rejected, mocked. He kept imagining Disneyland while sleeping on a bench because his brain wasn't wired to need permission. It was wired to create. That is your birthright. That is your inheritance. Not to follow the world, but to reshape it, to sculpt it with your vision, to command it with your words, to build it with your actions. But none of it begins until you take command of the one machine more powerful than any economy, any market, any policy, or paycheck, your mind. Your mind is your original factory. It manufactures every result you've ever had. It built your income, shaped your relationships, and decided every risk you did or did not take. And like any factory, it runs on systems, routines, input, output, garbage in, garbage out, greatness in, greatness out. So what are you feeding it? Because every contact with alarming media, every negative conversation, every hour spent with people who normalize mediocrity, that's fuel. Fuel that feeds a mind designed for something bigger and poisons it with noise. You can't build an empire while tuning your brain to the frequency of gossip, distraction, and comparison. You have to isolate. You have to protect your mental garden like a sacred vault because the seeds of your future are planted there. The brain does not care if the thoughts are good or bad. It just repeats what's familiar. It wires itself to whatever gets reinforced. So if you rehearse fear, fear becomes your reality. If you rehearse power, that becomes your new baseline. You must become the architect of your default state. Think of Henry Ford. He wasn't just building cars. He was building a system that would eventually change the world. Assembly lines, processes, efficiency, vision backed by mechanisms that turn thoughts into products. That's how your brain should work. Every morning ritual, every evening reflection, every decision to step forward instead of retreat. That's wiring. And the most dangerous belief you can hold is, this is just who I am. That's who you've been trained to be. You were trained by repetition. You were trained by environment. You were trained by early experiences that shaped your lens of reality. But that lens is not fixed. It is flexible. It can be shattered, rebuilt, and refocused if you are willing to do the inner engineering. Rewiring your brain for money means training your nervous system to feel safe in wealth. That's the piece no one talks about because you can talk about wealth all day. But if deep down your nervous system equates money with stress, rejection, betrayal, or unworthiness, you'll sabotage your own progress. You'll delay the launch. You'll undercharge your value. You'll shrink in moments you were born to rise. Not because you lack skill, but because your system is protecting you from what it thinks is danger. Wealth becomes impossible until your entire being believes it is safe to receive it. So let's reframe the question. It's not, how do I make more money? It's, how do I become the person who attracts, multiplies, and maintains money effortlessly? You don't chase money. You match it. You match it in thought. You match it in emotion. You match it in behavior. Money responds to confidence, decisiveness, service, and structure. It runs from doubt, confusion, hesitation, and inconsistency. So start here. What beliefs are you holding that repel wealth? What hidden guilt, fear, or resentment are you carrying toward money? What limiting stories are running beneath the surface? Say things like, people like me don't get rich. I don't know enough. If I make more, I'll lose more. Rich people are greedy. These aren't just thoughts. These are walls. And until you dismantle them, every strategy will backfire. Because mindset is the foundation, and no skyscraper is stable on cracked ground. You must become a renovator of your inner terrain. Tear down the outdated blueprints. Strip the toxic wallpaper. Gut the broken wiring. And start building a mansion of the mind where every thought is a throne, every belief a brick of gold, and every room echoes with clarity, power, and abundance. This is not fantasy. This is neurological reality. You're sculpting a new mind, and the wealth you seek is already waiting for the you who completes that sculpture. The world will pay any price to the person who knows who they are, what they offer, and why they're worth it. That clarity, that confidence, that inner certainty, that is the frequency of wealth. So elevate your self-image. Speak of yourself as someone who deserves to win. Walk like someone who's already arrived. Take actions that are beneath no man. And surround yourself only with people who reinforce your next level, not your past one. Because your environment is not just where you live, it's what you tolerate, it's what you normalize. And normalization is destiny. Normalize excuses. You get poverty. Normalize results. You get wealth. Thomas Edison failed 10,000 times trying to invent the light bulb, but he didn't see them as failures. He said, I have not failed. I've just found 10,000 ways that won't work. That is rewiring. Every setback became a signal. Every failure became feedback. And because he trained his mind to see value in the process, the result eventually followed. Money doesn't go to the person who avoids failure. It goes to the person who outlasts it. So condition your brain to see every obstacle not as a stop sign, but as a mirror showing you where you must grow, where you must level up your beliefs, your strategy, or your courage. And every time you pass that test, you don't just move forward, you become unshakable. You rewire yourself into someone who no longer fears rejection, loss, or risk. You become a financial force of nature because success isn't an event. It's a character trait. It's the inevitable result of becoming the person who creates wealth. Not once, but again and again, regardless of the market, the economy, or the opinions of others. And the moment you decide that money is not something you pursue, but something you attract by who you are, that's the moment everything changes. Because here's the ultimate truth. Money is not just about numbers. It is energy, motion, belief turned tangible. It is the world's applause for the value you create, the problems you solve, and the certainty you radiate. And until you respect it, truly respect it, it will avoid you. Because money doesn't stay where it feels unsafe, unwanted, or misunderstood. It flows to those who are ready mentally, emotionally, structurally. The man who earns millions without structure will lose it. The man who attracts wealth without healing will destroy it. The man who begs for success without becoming valuable will resent it when it doesn't arrive. That's why this journey is not about chasing wealth. It's about becoming wealth. Rewiring your brain to make more money means burning the bridges to small thinking. No more maybe someday. No more I'll try. No more let's see what happens. Burn it, because that kind of language programs your nervous system to expect nothing, and it always delivers. Instead, you must speak in declarations, in decisions, in truths that make the universe move. I am building wealth now. My value multiplies daily. Money flows to me because I've earned it, I respect it, and I serve through it. The subconscious mind hears everything you say, and it records each word as a command. Speak scarcity and you program struggle. Speak abundance and you pave the path to prosperity. So train your language, train your tone, train your mind to speak as the wealthy speak, act as the wealthy act, and think as the wealthy think. Not someday, but right now. Because if you wait until the evidence shows up to believe, you'll be waiting forever. Wealth begins with unseen belief. That's what Walt Disney had when he walked through an empty orange grove and saw an empire. He saw castles where others saw soil. He heard music where others heard silence. He believed in magic before it existed, and then he built it. That is what rewiring does. It lets you see before the world catches up. It lets you feel the future in your bones before the money's in your bank account. It lets you hold the energy of wealth long enough for the world to match it. This is not manifesting the casual, lazy way people use that word. This is mental discipline. This is inner warfare. This is a daily decision to reprogram every corner of your mind away from fear, doubt, and excuses, and into command, clarity, and power. And that process begins each morning, the moment your eyes open. Your brain is in theta, the gateway between conscious intention and subconscious automation. It is your prime time to plant seeds, to script your identity, to decide who you are and what today will pay you for. This is not the time to waste, not the time for checking bad news, not the time for absorbing other people's chaos. This is sacred space. It is the gym of your identity. And if you waste that moment, you begin each day from the wrong frequency, chasing, reacting, scattered. But if you own it, if you rise with purpose, if you speak life into your mission, if you lock eyes with the version of yourself who already has the success you desire, then every action becomes alignment. You no longer try, you execute. You no longer wish, you command. You no longer ask for permission. You move with precision. That is how you create the internal blueprint that prints external wealth. Because it is not the market, it is not the crisis, it is not the government or your job or your background. It is you. It has always been you. And that means you hold the power. You can rewrite the script. You can restructure your patterns. You can recalibrate your nervous system until the idea of wealth doesn't feel like a stretch. It feels like a requirement. That is the key to sustained success. It's not how hard you hustle. It's how deeply you believe and how powerfully you embody that belief in every step, every word, every decision. Nikola Tesla once said, if you want to understand the secrets of the universe, think in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration. That includes money. Your thoughts carry frequency. Your feelings transmit vibration. And your actions echo through the energy field of opportunity. So if you want different results, change the signal. Stop broadcasting lack. Stop radiating fear. Stop transmitting hesitation. Instead, broadcast value. Irradiate certainty. Transmit abundance. Because money follows leadership. Money follows clarity. Money follows the individual who knows exactly why they deserve it and is bold enough to receive it. This is what it means to rewire your brain for wealth. It means mastering your thoughts like steel. It means aligning your emotions like magnets. It means elevating your identity until the only thing more ridiculous than being rich is settling for less. It means seeing wealth not as a goal, but as a byproduct of who you have become. When you reach that level, you no longer have to chase. You draw success like gravity. You walk into rooms differently. You speak into business deals with force. You move through the world with an authority no one can fake because it was built from the inside out. You don't just make money. You become the kind of person money cannot ignore. And that right there is the difference between those who wait and those who win. Because once you become that person, the one who vibrates at the frequency of abundance, who commands wealth by virtue of who they've become, you don't fear loss. You don't fear failure. You don't fear starting over. Why? Because you are the source, you are the root, not the branch. You are the well, not the bucket. You don't draw water. You become the spring. And once your brain, your nervous system, your soul understands that money no longer owns you, you own it. You shape it. You use it as the powerful servant it was always meant to be, never the master. But here's where most people sabotage themselves. They want the fruit, but refuse to dig deep enough to plant the seed. They fantasize about the mansion, the yacht, the lifestyle, but won't face the inner poverty still living in their subconscious. You can't build an empire with the mind of a beggar. You can't earn millions if you still feel unworthy of thousands. You can't unlock financial freedom while emotionally addicted to financial struggle. You must unlearn the identity of lack. You must fire the old version of you, the one who tolerated less, accepted crumbs, bowed to fear, and hire the version of yourself who refuses to shrink ever again. And that takes more than motivation. It takes reprogramming. It takes sitting alone with your deepest doubts and dissolving them in the light of unshakable decision. Because belief without decision is just noise. Desire without action is just fantasy. Knowledge without transformation is poverty in disguise. The greats knew this. Henry Ford wasn't the most educated. He wasn't the most technically skilled. But he decided with such iron certainty that he would build an engine that others said was impossible. And so he did. He didn't need permission. He needed faith in his mind. He rewired himself not to ask, is it realistic? But to ask, is it worth building? That is the question every wealthy person is asked at some point in the dark. Is the life I imagine worth becoming someone new for? Because that's the price. To make more money, you have to give up the comfort of the old you. You have to surrender the illusion of safety that mediocrity offers. You have to risk embarrassment, rejection, failure, and still rise again. You have to become the kind of person who builds a bridge in a storm while others wait for sunshine. The kind who acts while others ask. The kind who leads while others lean on excuses. Because no one is coming to save you. No one is coming to hand you the code. No one is going to knock on your door and say, congratulations, your mind has been upgraded. That's your work. That's your calling. That's your responsibility and your privilege. Because once you choose to rewire your mind, once you train yourself to think, feel, and act like a millionaire before the money ever shows up, you set off a chain reaction that becomes unbreakable. Suddenly, your habits shift. Your circle elevates. Your time becomes sacred. Your boundaries harden. Your tolerance for nonsense drops to zero. And this isn't arrogance, it's alignment. Because when you're walking in divine alignment with the future version of you, the one who's already achieved everything you dream of now, you no longer entertain what doesn't fit the frequency of that reality. You don't explain your vision to people who've never built anything. You don't lower your standards to make others comfortable. You don't apologize for the fire in your chest. You own it. You carry it. You protect it like your life depends on it, because it does. That is what success requires. That is what wealth demands. Not just the right strategy, but the right identity. An identity is built by repetition, by drilling the new belief so deep into your nervous system that the old story cannot survive. That's what rewiring is. It's a demolition and a resurrection. It's tearing down the house of scarcity brick by brick and replacing it with a temple built on unshakable vision. And every day is a brick. Every morning ritual is a beam. Every aligned action is a wall. Every uncomfortable conversation, every stretch beyond your limits, every yes to faith and no to fear, these are the materials of your new reality. And one day you will walk into the mansion you built with thought, with discipline, with invisible bricks made visible by your relentless commitment. You will look around and realize you didn't just make more money. You became the kind of person who makes it inevitable. And when that day comes, when the wealth arrives, not as a lottery ticket, but as a natural outflow of who you've become, you'll see it clearly. This was never about the money. It was about you, your courage, your evolution, your refusal to live small. Money is just the mirror. It reflects who you are when no one is watching. It reflects the hours you invest when it's dark and thankless and no one claps. It reflects the strength you build when the world says, be realistic. And you say, watch me. Understand this deeply. Money doesn't change you. It reveals you. It multiplies your essence. If you are generous, it will amplify your impact. If you are disciplined, it will build your empire. If you're fearful, it will vanish. If you're reckless, it will destroy. That's why rewiring your brain is non-negotiable. Because if your outer world grows faster than your inner world, you will collapse under the weight of your own potential. But if your inner world expands first, if your mindset matures before your bank account does, if your identity strengthens before your income explodes, then no amount of wealth can shake you. You will carry millions like they're made of paper. Not because you don't value them, but because you know your real value cannot be counted in dollars. It's in your decisions, your resilience, your clarity, your vision, your ability to adapt when others break, your willingness to believe when the results don't show yet. That's the core. That's the root. And that's what most people never understand. They chase money without becoming the person who can hold money. They try to skip the rewiring and then wonder why they sabotage every breakthrough. But not you, because you now know the truth. Every dollar you desire starts as a thought, a belief, a code in the mind. And when that code is clean, clear, and congruent, when every cell of your body agrees with your vision, when your thoughts, emotions, and actions are in harmony, the world has no choice but to obey. That is not hype. That is not fantasy. That is the very principle upon which empires have been built. Look at Andrew Carnegie, born into poverty, no education beyond the basics. But what did he possess? An obsession with purpose, a mental resilience forged in the fires of hardship, and an absolute refusal to accept the limits imposed by others. He didn't need a map. He became the map. He didn't beg for wealth. He commanded it with a brain that was sharp, decisive, and calibrated for greatness. This is your call to do the same, to take back the steering wheel of your mind, to reject the narrative you were given if it no longer serves you, to install a new operating system where fear is replaced with focus, where doubt is replaced with direction, where guilt around wealth is replaced with gratitude and ownership. Because let's be brutally honest, you weren't born to struggle. You weren't born to beg for crumbs while others feast. You weren't born to watch success happen to others like a spectator in your own life. You were born to build, to create, to rise, to turn the raw materials of thought into the architecture of fortune. And it begins with a decision, not a wish, not a maybe, not a hope whispered at 2 a.m. when you're tired of your own excuses. A decision made with fire, the same fire that lit Edison's lab after 1,000 failures, the same fire that burned in Lincoln through political defeat after defeat, the same fire that turned setbacks into stepping stones for every self-made millionaire who's ever lived. You are no different. You are cut from the same cloth. But cloth means nothing without stitching, and the stitching happens in your habits, in your focus, in your willingness to say no to distractions and yes to the next level. Let the world stay distracted. Let the world chase shortcuts. Let the world laugh when you speak like a millionaire before you've earned your first one. You stay grounded in your vision. You train your mind like a warrior. You feed it thoughts that electrify your soul and starve the fear. You rewire with discipline. You act with boldness. And you receive without guilt. Because when the money arrives, and it will, you will not be surprised. You will not be shocked. You will not be overwhelmed. You'll be ready. You look around and say, this was inevitable, because you did not wish for it. You became it. You thought differently. You moved differently. You refused to settle. And now the world is simply catching up to the blueprint your brain already built. This is the secret to lasting wealth. It's not in the market. It's not in the economy. It's not in the latest trend. It's in you, rewired, rebuilt, unstoppable. So now, stand in front of the mirror, not just to see your reflection, but to confront your potential. Ask yourself the question that built empires and shaped destinies. If I already had the wealth, the power, the influence I desire, how would I think? How would I speak? How would I move? Then be that. Be that now. Be that before it shows up. Be that when no one believes in you, when no one claps, when no one sees the mountains you're climbing in silence. Because the real work happens in the dark. It happens when you're broke but show up like a billionaire in spirit. It happens when fear whispers, play it safe, and you answer, I was not born to hide. It happens when you're tired and broke and nobody's watching, and you still act like it's done. That's when the rewiring becomes real. Not when it's easy, but when it's earned. And if you earn it in private, you'll be rewarded in public. That's the law. That's the game. That's the price of freedom. Listen closely. This world does not need more people chasing money. It needs more people becoming worthy of it. Not by proving themselves to others, but by becoming masters of their own minds. Because the man who controls his mind controls his destiny. And the woman who commands her inner world bends the outer world to match it. We've been taught to look outward for opportunity, for permission, for worth. But everything you're searching for is already inside you. The switch has always been there. The code was always waiting to be rewritten. So rewrite it. Write over the story that said you're average. Delete the line that said you're not smart enough. Burn the paragraph that told you money is evil, or rich people are selfish, or success is for those people. Success is for those who decide. Wealth is for those who prepare. Freedom is for those who no longer wait. So the only question now is, will you wait? Or will you rise? Will you waste another year away consuming instead of creating? Or will you turn your life into the masterpiece others study for generations? This isn't about hustle culture. This isn't about burnout. This is about alignment. This is about becoming magnetic to wealth because you've done the deep inner work most will never dare face. You want more money. Then start asking better questions. Ask, what belief is standing between me and abundance? What identity am I still clinging to that doesn't belong in my future? What would I dare to do if I could not fail? And then do it, not recklessly, not carelessly, but with the conviction of a mind that has been forged in truth. There's no future version of you who magically wakes up confident, wealthy, disciplined, and unstoppable. That version is not waiting. That version is created by what you choose to think, speak, and do today. So choose the identity that scares you because it stretches you. Choose the habits that inconvenience you because they elevate you. Choose the path that demands more because it gives more. You are not here to survive. You are not here to blend in. You're not here to tiptoe toward death with dreams still locked inside your bones. You're here to lead, to inspire, to dominate the landscape of your own mind so that the world becomes a mirror of your mastery. That is what it means to rewire your brain to make more money. It means no longer reacting like the old you. It means no longer accepting crumbs when you were meant for the crown. It means training your mind to see opportunity where others see chaos, to feel wealth before it arrives, to expect success because you've built yourself to deserve it. So rise now. Don't wait for the timing to be perfect. Don't wait for the stars to align. Don't wait for permission or proof. You are the permission. You are the proof. And this very moment toward is the rebirth. Right here, right now. Draw the line, read the old script, step into the fire. Not because it's safe, but because that's where you're forged. You're no longer the seeker. You're the source. You're no longer the student. You're the standard. You're no longer the dreamer. You are the one who builds the dream. Now go, rewire, rise, and claim what has always been yours, not by accident, not by luck, but by the unshakable power of a mind awakened. Let them doubt. Let them laugh. Let them sleep. You've got work to do. The kind that makes kings. The kind that makes legends. The kind that makes money follow you. Because you finally become the person worth following. and you never look back. You must keep in mind the following. Repetition is the sculptor of your destiny. You will not become what you visualize once. You will become what you visualize consistently, daily, obsessively, until your brain starts adjusting your behaviors, your standards, your environment to match that inner self-image. That's not magic. That's biology. So listen this lesson again and again and again until it gets installed in your brain and in your subconscious mind. Until you realize the results you seek. The secret I am about to share with you tonight has transformed countless lives, and it will transform yours if you will but listen with an open heart and an awakened mind. What you really want is not separate from you. It is not something you must chase, pursue, or earn through struggle and hardship. What you really want already exists within you as a seed of possibility, waiting only for the proper soil of your consciousness to bring it forth into your physical world. You see, most people approach manifestation backwards. They look at their current circumstances and try to figure out how to change them through physical action alone. They exhaust themselves in endless doing, never realizing that all creation begins in consciousness, in the invisible realm of imagination and feeling. They work from the outside in, when the true secret is to work from the inside out. The truth I want you to grasp tonight is this: your imagination is the workshop of God within you. It is not merely a faculty for daydreaming or idle fantasy. Your imagination is the creative power of the universe expressing itself through you. When you learn to use your imagination correctly, you become the author of your own experience, the sculptor of your own destiny. But here is where most people stumble. They confuse imagination with wishful thinking. They confuse hope with faith. They confuse wanting with having. These are not the same thing, and understanding the difference is crucial to your success in manifesting what you really want. Wishful thinking says, I hope this will happen. Faith says that is already done. Hope looks to the future with uncertainty. Faith accepts the present reality of your desire fulfilled. Wanting acknowledges the absence of what you desire. Having assumes its presence in reality now. Tonight, I want you to understand that what you really want is not something you need to get. It is something you need to accept. It is not something you need to become. It is something you need to recognize you already are. The kingdom of heaven, the realm where all desires are already fulfilled, is within you. It has always been within you, waiting for you to enter and claim your inheritance. Let me share with you the fundamental principle upon which all manifestation rests. It is this: consciousness is the only reality, and what you are conscious of being, you become. Your consciousness is not confined to your physical body or your present circumstances. Your consciousness is infinite, limitless, and it has the power to assume any state of being you choose. When you truly understand this principle, you realize that manifestation is not about convincing the universe to give you what you want. It is about assuming the consciousness of already having what you want and living from that assumption until it hardens into fact in your physical world. This brings us to the technique that will change your life. If you will apply it faithfully, I want you to learn the art of assumption. Assumption is the technique of assuming the feeling of your wish fulfilled and persisting in that assumption until it becomes your dominant state of consciousness. Here is how you begin. First, you must become crystal clear about what you really want. Not what you think you should want. Not what others expect you to want, but what you truly desire from the depths of your being. Be specific. Be definite. Vague desires produce vague results. Once you know what you want, you must construct a scene in your imagination that implies your desire is already fulfilled. This scene should capture the essence of having what you want. It should trigger the feeling of satisfaction, gratitude, and fulfillment that you would experience if your desire were already yours. The key to success lies not in the vividness of your visualization, though that helps, but in the feeling it generates within you. You must feel the reality of your imagined scene. You must make it real to yourself through the intensity of your feeling. Feeling is the secret to all manifestation, for feeling is the language that your subconscious mind understands. Your subconscious mind cannot distinguish between what is real and what is vividly imagined with feeling. When you consistently imagine yourself in the state of your wish fulfilled and feel the reality of that state, your subconscious mind accepts it as fact and begins to reorganize your world to match your assumption. But here is where persistence becomes crucial. You cannot assume your desire fulfilled once or twice and then return to your old state of consciousness. You must persist in your assumption. You must live from your desired state consistently until it becomes natural to you, until it becomes your dominant mood and attitude. Most people give up too soon. They assume their wish fulfilled for a few days or weeks. And when they do not see immediate physical evidence, they abandon their assumption and return to their former state of lack and limitation. This is why they fail to manifest what they really want. Remember this, there is always a time lag between assumption and manifestation. Just as there is a gestation period between conception and birth in the physical world, there is an interval between the moment you assume your wish fulfilled and the moment it appears in your physical experience. During this interval, you must maintain your assumption with unwavering faith. Faith is not blind belief in something you hope might happen. Faith is the conscious assumption of your wish already fulfilled, maintained in the face of contradictory evidence from your senses. Faith says, though I do not yet see it with my physical eyes, I know it is mine because I have assumed it in consciousness. This is where most people stumble. They allow their senses to dictate their assumption. They look at their current circumstances and use them as evidence that their desire is not fulfilled. This is backwards thinking. Your senses report the past, not the future. They show you what was, not what is becoming. When you understand that your current circumstances are the result of your past assumptions, you realize that they have no power to prevent your new assumption from manifesting. Your circumstances are not fixed. They are fluid, changeable, and completely subject to your consciousness. The moment you assume your wish fulfilled and maintain that assumption, you have planted a seed in the soil of consciousness. That seed will grow and eventually produce fruit in your physical world, but only if you do not dig it up with doubt and negative assumption. Let me tell you about the power of revision. If dearly of die, you find yourself slipping back into your old state of consciousness, do not condemn yourself. Simply revise the experience. Go to your imagination and replay the scene as you wish it had been. See yourself responding from your desired state instead of your former state of lack. Revision is one of the most powerful techniques you can master because it allows you to change the meaning and emotional impact of any experience. When you revise an experience in your imagination, you change its influence on your subconscious mind and therefore on your future experiences. Every night before you sleep, review your day and revise any scenes that do not conform to your desire fulfilled. This practice will gradually transform your subconscious mind and align your entire being with your desired state of consciousness. The state of consciousness you occupy just before sleep is particularly important because it is impressed deeply upon your subconscious mind during the sleep state. This is why I recommend that you always fall asleep in the assumption of your wish fulfilled. Let the feeling of your desire already being yours be the last thing on your mind as you drift off to sleep. During sleep, your conscious mind relaxes its control and your subconscious mind is free to accept and act upon the impressions you have given it. If you consistently fall asleep feeling grateful for your desire fulfilled, your subconscious mind will work throughout the night to make that assumption a reality in your waking world. But manifestation is not just about technique, it is about transformation. As you persist in assuming your wish fulfilled, you will find that you begin to change from within. Your thoughts, feelings, and actions will naturally align with your new assumption. You will find yourself thinking thoughts and taking actions that support your desired reality. This is the true miracle of assumption. It does not just change your external circumstances. It changes you. It transforms you into the person who naturally has what you desire. And when you become that person in consciousness, having what you want becomes inevitable. Many people resist this transformation. They want their circumstances to change, but they want to remain the same person. This is impossible. You cannot have what you have never had by remaining who you have always been. To manifest what you really want, you must be willing to become who you need to be to have it. This does not mean you must change your personality or become someone you are not. It means you must expand your consciousness to include your desired reality. You must grow into the fullness of who you are capable of being. The person you are when your desire is fulfilled is not a different person. It is the complete you, the you that has always existed in potential waiting to be realized. When you assume your wish fulfilled, you are not pretending to be someone else. You are claiming your true identity. Now, let me address a common misconception. Some people think that manifestation is about getting what you want, regardless of others or at the expense of others. This is not true. When you manifest from the highest level of consciousness, what you desire serves not only you, but the greater good. The desires that arise from your true self, from your divine nature, are never selfish or harmful. They are expressions of the infinite seeking to experience itself through you. When you fulfill these desires, you add to the richness and beauty of the world. If your desire seems to require the cooperation of others, do not concern yourself with how they will respond. When you assume your wish fulfilled, you automatically influence the consciousness of everyone involved in your desire. They will be inspired to play their part in the manifestation of your desire, and they will do so willingly and joyfully because it serves their highest good as well. This is the beauty of manifestation from divine consciousness. There are no losers, only winners. What you desire for yourself, you automatically desire for all humanity, because at the deepest level, we are all one consciousness expressing itself through many forms. Let me share with you the importance of gratitude in manifestation. Gratitude is not something you feel after you see what you want. Gratitude is the feeling that magnetizes your desire to you. When you feel genuinely grateful for your desires as if it were already yours, you align yourself with the frequency of having rather than one thing. Gratitude says, I am so thankful that I already have what I desire. It does not say, I will be grateful when I receive what I want. Present tense gratitude is one of the most powerful states of consciousness you can occupy because it assumes the reality of your desire now. Spend time each day feeling grateful for your desire fulfilled. Let gratitude fill your heart and permeate your entire being. Feel the joy, the satisfaction, the peace that comes from having what you truly want. This feeling of gratitude will accelerate the manifestation of your desire beyond anything you have ever experienced. Another powerful ally in manifestation is the practice of mental dieting. Just as you are careful about what you put into your body, you must be careful about what you allow into your mind. Negative thoughts, doubts, fears, and limiting beliefs are mental junk food that pollutes your consciousness and interferes with your manifestation. Make a commitment to monitor your thoughts throughout the day. When you catch yourself thinking thoughts that contradict your desired reality, gently redirect your attention to thoughts that support it. This is not about forcing positive thinking or denying reality. It is about choosing thoughts that are aligned with the reality you want to create. Remember, every thought is a seed planted in the soil of consciousness. What kind of garden do you want to grow? Choose your thoughts as carefully as a gardener chooses seeds, knowing that what you plant today will determine what you harvest tomorrow. The power of your word is also crucial to manifestation. Your words are not just sounds that disappear into the air. They are creative forces that shape your reality. When you speak, you are literally calling things into existence. This is why you must be conscious of how you speak about yourself and your desires. Do not speak of your desire as something you want or need. Speak of it as something you have. Do not say, I want to be wealthy. Say, I am wealthy. Do not say, I hope to find love. Say, I am loved. Your words should always reflect the reality of your wish fulfilled, not the absence of it. This may feel strange at first, especially if your current circumstances contradict your words. But remember, you are not lying. You are speaking from a higher level of reality, from the consciousness where your desire is already fulfilled. As you persist in speaking this way, your words will gradually transform your experience. Let me address the question of timing. For many people become impatient when their desire does not manifest as quickly as they expect. You must understand that divine timing is perfect timing. Your desire will manifest at exactly the right moment, in exactly the right way for your highest good. Impatience is actually a form of doubt. It says, I am not sure this is working, so I need to see results now to confirm that it will work. This attitude undermines your assumption and delays your manifestation. Trust in the process, trust in the law, trust in yourself. Sometimes the delay in manifestation is necessary for you to grow into the person who can handle what you desire. Sometimes it is because other elements need to align to create the perfect conditions for your desire to appear. Sometimes it is simply because you need more time to truly embody the consciousness of your wish fulfilled. Whatever the reason, accept the timing with grace and continue to persist in your assumption. Every day that passes without visible evidence is not a day of failure. It is a day of gestation, a day when your desire is growing in an invisible realm. preparing to burst forth into your visible world. The question is not whether your desire will manifest. The question is whether you will persist in your assumption long enough for it to manifest. This is entirely under your control. No external force can prevent your assumption from becoming fact if you remain faithful to it. I want you to understand that you are not at the mercy of circumstances, luck, or the whims of others. You are the operant power in your own experience. You are the author of your own story. You hold in your hands the pen with which your destiny is written. This is both the greatest privilege and the greatest responsibility you possess. You cannot blame others for your circumstances because you are the one who created them through your consciousness. But this also means you have the power to change them by changing your consciousness. Most people are unconscious creators. They create by default, allowing their subconscious assumptions to shape their reality without conscious direction. They are victims of their own unconscious patterns. But you have the opportunity to become a conscious creator, to take control of your creative power and direct it toward the fulfillment of your highest desires. The time has come for you to stop being a victim of circumstance and become the master of your fate. The time has come for you to stop waiting for someone else to give you permission to have what you want and to claim it for yourself in consciousness. What you really want is not unrealistic, impossible, or too good to be true. It is yours by divine right. It exists in consciousness, waiting for you to assume it and make it real in your physical experience. The only question is whether you will have the courage to claim it and the persistence to maintain your claim until it manifests. Tonight, as you leave this place, I want you to make a commitment to yourself. Choose one desire that you really want to manifest. Choose something that would make a significant difference in your life, something that would bring you joy, fulfillment, and a sense of purpose. Create a scene in your imagination that implies this desire is already fulfilled. Feel what it would feel like to have it now. Let that feeling fill your entire being. Then make a commitment to assume this feeling every day, especially as you fall asleep at night. Do not tell anyone what you are doing. Do not seek validation or confirmation from others. This is between you and your consciousness. Let your manifestation speak for itself when it appears in your physical world. Be prepared for your faith to be tested. Your senses will continue to report your old reality for a while. People around you may continue to see you as you were rather than as you are becoming. Do not let these temporary appearances discourage you. They are simply the echoes of your former assumptions, and they will fade as your new assumption takes hold. Remember that you are not trying to convince anyone else that your desire is fulfilled. You are only convincing yourself. And the moment you truly convince yourself, the moment you truly feel the reality of your wish fulfilled, that moment it becomes inevitable in your physical world. The law of assumption is not a theory to be debated or a philosophy to be discussed. It is a practical tool to be used. It works whether you understand how it works or not. It works whether you believe in it or not. The only requirement is that you apply it consistently and persist in your application. You have been given the greatest gift imaginable tonight. You have been shown the secret of secrets, the key that unlocks every door, the answer to every prayer. What you do with this gift is entirely up to you. You can continue to live as you have been living, accepting whatever circumstances present themselves. Or you can take control of your creative power and consciously create your truly desire. The choice is yours and no one can make it for you. I leave you tonight with this final thought. You are not here by accident. You have been drawn to this teaching because your soul is ready to claim its inheritance. Deep within you, your true self is stirring, ready to emerge and express itself through you. What you really want is not separate from who you really are. Your desires are the voice of your divine nature, calling you to expand, to grow, to become all that you are capable of being. When you answer that call and assume the consciousness of your wish fulfilled, you do not just get what you want. You become who you truly are. The power is yours. The time is now. Go forth and create the life you truly desire, knowing that it is not only possible, but inevitable when you apply the law of assumption with faith, persistence, and love. How to reprogram your mind to attract unlimited riches and wealth. They told you that money was the root of all evil. They conditioned you to believe that wanting more was selfish, that dreaming big was unrealistic, and that riches were reserved for a select few, not for people like you. They never told you the truth. That wealth is not found in your bank account, but in your belief system. That abundance is not created by the grind alone, but by the frequency you vibrate at. That every fortune, every kingdom, every empire ever built began in the invisible realm in thought. You've been living with a mind that was programmed by fear, programmed by limitation, programmed by people who settled and needed you to settle too so they could feel safe. But the mind is not concrete, it is software, and software can be rewritten. Today is not just another day. Today is a spiritual declaration of war, a war on poverty thing, on scarcity programming, on smallness. Because wealth in its purest form is the external manifestation of internal expansion. To attract unlimited riches, you must first break the chains around your own subconscious beliefs, the ones passed down through bloodlines that never broke the cycle, the ones enforced by teachers who never left the classroom of mediocrity, the ones whispered by a society that needs you compliant, broke, and numb. But you are different. You feel it, don't you? That stirring in your soul, that ache in your chest, that quiet voice that refuses to die, that voice is not Nav V. It is ancient. It is the voice that once whispered to Edison in the dark, "Shall I others?" laughed. The voice that told Ford he could build a car for the masses when the world only knew horses. The same voice that guided Carnegie, that awakened Rockefeller, that visited Disney in a jail cell of self-doubt and handed him a vision bigger than logic could hold. That voice is speaking to you now. But first you must unlearn. You must unlearn the gospel of limitation. Unlearn the rules written by the fearful. Unlearn the lie that success is for someone else. Because your mind, your beautiful, powerful, programmable mind is the soil and your thoughts are the seeds. What you plant with emotion, repetition, and belief will grow. This is not mysticism. This is biology. This is physics. This is how every multimillionaire, every billionaire, every groundbreaker in history has done it by mastering the laboratory between their ears. Your brain is the transmitter. Your emotions are the signal. Your beliefs are the compass. And wealth is the natural byproduct of tuning into the right frequency. So let me ask you, what are you broadcasting? What messages are you sending to the universe, to your subconscious, to the people around you? Because if you are broadcasting fear, you will attract reasons to be afraid. If you are broadcasting doubt, you will find evidence that you are not enough. If you are broadcasting lack, you will live in lack no matter how much money passes through your hands. But if you just begin to reprogram the way you think, the way you speak, the way you feel when you imagine your future, you will shift the axis of your reality. See, and the wealthy don't chase money. They attract it. And they attract it because they have taught their minds to expect it. They have trained themselves to believe that riches are their birthright. Not through arrogance, but through alignment. They understand that riches do not arrive because of hope. They arrive because of clarity, intensity, and unwavering belief. So now we talk about belief, the soil in which all wealth is grown. Belief is not just a thought, it is a command, a self-issued prophecy. It is what is called a burning desire backed by faith. And faith, my friend, is not blind. Faith is not soft. Faith is the strongest weapon in the arsenal of the rich. Faith is when all hell breaks loose around you, and you still walk like you own the damn mountain. No empire has ever been built without belief. Andrew Carnegie believed he would become the wealthiest man in the world before he had a dollar to his name. Walt Disney was fired for lacking imagination, but belief made him immortal. Oprah Winfrey was told she didn't have the face for television, but belief made her a global force. What do you believe about you? Because until you believe in your power, your vision, your right to prosper, you will unconsciously sabotage every opportunity that knocks at your door. The enemy's not the economy. The enemy's not your past. The enemy's the programming that tells you that your value is capped, that your destiny is fixed, that your ceiling cannot be broken. But belief is the hammer. Belief shatters glass ceilings. Belief writes checks before there's money in the bank. Belief wakes up early, walks into the fire, and doesn't flinch because it knows what's coming. But belief without clarity is a storm without direction. You must define your riches. You must be specific. The universe, your subconscious, your mind, they do not respond to vague. They respond to vision, clear, bold, electrified vision. What does your wealthy life look like? Can you feel it? Can you walk through it in your imagination? Can you touch the steering wheel of the car? Hear the ocean outside the villa? Smell the ink on the contracts, feel the joy in giving freely, generously. This is not daydreaming. This is architecture. This is how the mind is reprogrammed through repetition, clarity, and vivid emotional imprinting. The people who live extraordinary lives are not lucky. They are deliberate. They write their future in detail. They hold it in their mind until the universe has no choice but to catch up. You must do the same, because if you don't give your mind a clear destination, it will return to the past. It will pull from old files poverty, lack, guilt, shame, and you will relive yesterday's struggle and tomorrow's opportunities. So sit in the stillness and ask, what does wealth mean to me? Not just the numbers, but the feeling, the lifestyle, the impact, the legacy, the version of yourself that is free, not just from bills, but from fear. Once you define it, you must feel it, not one day, not someday. Now you must feel rich before the world agrees with you. That is the secret. You must become the frequency of the thing you desire before it arrives, because riches do not come to the needy. They come to the ready. And readiness is a mental state, not a financial one. Riches come to the mind that is already living in abundance. It is not the mind that is begging, waiting, or hoping for a miracle. You don't beg for sunlight. You simply walk into it. You don't plead for oxygen. You breathe it in. The same goes for wealth. You align and you receive. But alignment is not passive. It is work. It is discipline of thought. It is mastery over self-talk. It is vigilance over what you allow to enter your mental kingdom. You must become the gatekeeper. No more letting old stories rent space in your palace. No more hosting pity parties for your limitations. No more speaking poverty with your mouth while praying for abundance with your heart. Words are not just noise. They are code. They carry intention. They shape reality. When you say, I can't afford that, your subconscious nods and says, understood. You are not someone who has. When you say, I always struggle with money, your brain turns it into a script and runs it on repeat. But when you shift your language, even before you see the evidence, you begin the reprogramming. You speak as if. You walk as if. You decide as if you were already rich, not with arrogance, but with certainty. That's the key. Certainty. Not the certainty of ego, but the certainty of principle. You become certain that wealth is yours because you understand it is governed by law, not luck. You understand that thoughts are magnets. That emotion is the fuel. That repetition is the rewiring mechanism of the brain. That action, bold, unapologetic, aligned action, is the bridge from vision to manifestation. You must act. Because the mind is not only reprogrammed in stillness, it is reprogrammed in motion. You don't think your way to riches. You act your way into alignment. The vision must be married to movement, and movement must be married to purpose. Now let's talk about purpose, the hidden currency behind every fortune. Purpose is the engine. It is what transforms effort into momentum. It is what keeps the fire lit when the results haven't shown up yet. It's what gave men like Edison the will to fail 10,000 times and still rise like it was the first attempt. It's what made Carnegie build empires not just for steel, but for legacy. Purpose is why some scratch and claw for survival, while others rise like they were born for greatness, because they were. You don't attract riches for the sake of having them. You attract them because they are the tools of your purpose, and when you align your mission with your gifts, with your values, with your highest truth, the world makes room for your wealth. Purpose-backed wealth is unshakable, because it's not just about money, it's about meaning, and meaning multiplies power. So what is your purpose? Not the one you think sounds good, not the one society sold you, but the one that haunts you when you're alone, the one that excites and terrifies you, the one that if you followed it relentlessly would elevate the lives of millions and make you rich in every possible way. Find it, name it, feed it, and then build your discipline around it. Discipline is how wealth becomes permanent. Without it, you become a one-hit wonder. With it, you become unstoppable. Discipline is not restriction, it is liberation from chaos. It is the structure that allows your brilliance to shine without distraction. Every wealthy mind has a fortress of discipline around it. They don't wake up and see how they feel. They wake up and command the day. They don't scroll through noise. They feed their minds like athletes feed their bodies with precision and purpose. You must become a disciplined steward of your time, your thoughts, your habits, and your energy. That is how the rich stay rich and how the poor stay poor. Poor minds chase dopamine. Rich minds chase destiny. Every choice is a vote for the future you, a vote for wealth or poverty, a vote for power or passivity. So vote with your habits. Vote with your morning rituals. Vote with your calendar. Vote with the people you allow into your mental space. Because you become what you are most consistently exposed to. You must surround yourself with greatness mentally, emotionally, energetically. And if you can't find that circle in the physical yet, build it in your imagination. Wayne spoke of the invisible counselors, an imagined table of advisors including Lincoln, Edison, and Wayne. He met with them each night in his mind, studied their traits, absorbed their character, and let their genius seep into his subconscious. That is the power of mental association. If you want to attract riches, begin associating with the rich. Even if only in your imagination, study their words, watch their movements, embody their psychology, because what you immerse yourself in becomes you. This is not mimicry. This is mental conditioning. And conditioning is how your nervous system begins to expect more rather than shrink at the sight of wealth. But as you rise, you must also practice gratitude. Gratitude is the energetic glue that binds it all together. Without gratitude, riches become a prison. With gratitude, every dollar feels divine. Gratitude shifts your attention from what's missing to what's moving. It raises your frequency. It reorients your subconscious to seek expansion instead of lack. And most importantly, it ensures you never forget where the real power comes from within. Be grateful for the vision, even if it hasn't arrived yet. Be grateful for the lessons, especially the hard ones. Be grateful for the contrast, because it taught you what you truly desire. Gratitude is not passivity, it's power. It's wealth consciousness in its purest form, because a grateful mind is an open mind. And an open mind is a fertile field for the seeds of wealth to take root and multiply. So as you reprogram your mind, as you choose new beliefs, as you imagine your future and walk in alignment with it, anchor it all in the deep, humbling, electrifying force of thankfulness. Thankfulness that you are waking up, that you are breaking the chains. You are not here by accident. You did not stumble upon the misadventure. You were called to this moment, summoned by a higher version of yourself that refuses to die quietly. And now that version is waking up inside you, not as a whisper, but as a roar. Because there comes a time in every person's life when they must choose to remain asleep in the comfort of limitation, or to rise with trembling hands, maybe, but to rise nonetheless and claim the riches that were always waiting on the other side of belief. And if you are still here, still listening, still breathing in these words like oxygen, then you already made your choice. Now it's time to embrace the next trait of every wealthy mind, resilience. Because once you begin to reprogram your mind, once you start moving toward wealth with clarity and purpose, life will test you. Not because it wants you to fail, but because it wants to know if you're serious. Every setback, every delay, every obstacle is the world asking, are you ready for the next level? And your answer must be yes, even when the evidence says otherwise. Think of Abraham Lincoln. He lost elections. He lost children. He lost business after business, but he never lost faith. He was forged in the fires of adversity, and that's why his legacy still echoes centuries later. Or Thomas Edison, who failed by some counts over 10,000 times, but was it failure or was it preparation? You see, the poor mind interprets resistance as rejection. The rich mind interprets resistance as refinement. It is not the lack of struggle that makes you rich. It is how you show up in the struggle. Every challenge is a sculptor, chiseling away your weakness, refining your clarity, tempering your resolve. Do not run from it. Stand in it. Face it with eyes wide open and declare, this is the price I pay for power, and I pay it gladly. Because the truth is, wealth is not for the fragile. It is for those who refuse to quit, who learn from every misstep, who rise smarter, harder, hungrier. That's the next step in reprogramming. Learning, constant, obsessive, never-ending learning. You cannot afford to treat your mind like a storage unit. It must be a laboratory, alive, evolving, experimental. Read the biographies of the greats. Study their thought processes. Reverse engineer their decisions. Immerse yourself in wealth psychology until it feels like your native language. Because success leaves clues, but only those who train their eyes can see them. The poor mind says, I already know. The rich mind says, what else can I learn today that will expand me? Learning is the mental gym of the wealthy, and repetition is the personal trainer. You must repeat your affirmations, repeat your visualizations, repeat your actions. Not until you're tired of them, but until they're encoded into your identity. That's how the mind gets reprogrammed. Not through one moment of inspiration, but through daily deliberate immersion in wealth, conscious patterns of thought and behavior. Eventually it becomes automatic. You stop fighting your old programming because it's not there anymore. You replaced it. You stop wondering if wealth will come because it's already arriving. You feel it. You see the signs. You are different. And because of that, your world begins to rearrange itself around your new inner state. And then something powerful happens. You begin to attract not just money, but opportunities, people, ideas. Doors swing open where once there were only walls. Connections click like a divine orchestration. And you know deep in your soul that it was never about luck. It was alignment. You aligned your thoughts. You aligned your actions. You aligned your emotions, your energy, your identity. And in that alignment, wealth flows. Not in trickles, but in waves. Not as a visitor, but as a resident. You're not chasing anymore. You are magnetizing. This is the ultimate state, the culmination of all the work. And it's here that you must protect your mind with even greater intensity, because success can make you complacent. And complacency is the silent killer of abundance. You must stay sharp, stay hungry, stay committed to the principles that brought you here. Because wealth is not a destination, it is a dynamic state of being. And just like a flame, it must be fed with vision, fed with purpose, fed with action, fed with discipline, fed with gratitude, fed with the unwavering belief that you are a powerful co-creator of reality. This is how you reprogram your mind. Not in a weekend, not in a seminar, but in the furnace of daily choice. You do not dabble in this. You devote, you rise early, you speak powerfully, you walk purposefully, you think intentionally, you give generously, you move like you were born to build legacies, because you were. You were not born to struggle endlessly. You were not born to apologize for wanting more. You were not born to play small so others could feel comfortable. You were born to rise, to lead, to prosper, to inspire. Your wealth is not just for you. It is for the people watching you, the people who will follow your lead, the people who will break their own chains because they saw you do it first. This is a ripple effect, a revolution, and it begins in your mind. You must now decide, will you return to the old programming, the small thinking, the fear, the excuses, or will you walk forward, eyes open, shoulders back, into the life that's already been waiting for you? Because the truth is, you were always wealthy, long before the dollar showed up, long before the status, long before the applause. You were wealthy the moment you stopped borrowing your identity from the world and reclaimed your power from within. You were wealthy the moment you said, no more living on default, no more autopilot, no more average. You were wealthy the moment your thoughts shifted from scarcity to sufficiency, from desperation to direction, from hoping to knowing that the only thing standing between you and unlimited riches was you. Not your past, not your parents, not the economy, you. And that's the most empowering truth you'll ever encounter, because if you created the old program, you can write the new one. You can uninstall the beliefs that told you money is evil and replace them with the truth. Money is a mirror. It reflects who you are being. If you are being courageous, focused, faithful, driven, generous, money comes to you like a river drawn to gravity, because it recognizes you, it recognizes itself in you. You are no longer waiting for the conditions to be perfect. You are no longer asking permission. You are no longer pretending to be smaller than your soul knows you are. You are now stepping into the rarest of mindsets, the 1% of the 1%, the wealth attractor mind. This is the mind that takes full responsibility, the mind that chooses wealth again and again, no matter what it looks like today, the mind that knows the vision will outlive the circumstances, the mind that has already received. Even before the evidence appears, you will start to notice something strange, beautiful, and undeniable. Synchronicities. People showing up at the right moment. Ideas dropping into your mind like divine whispers. Doors opening with no explanation. Clients reaching out. Mentors arriving. Opportunities unfolding so fast it almost feels surreal. But it's not magic. It's alignment. It's the law returning to you what you have demanded with faith, backed by discipline, driven by purpose. You are no longer just working hard. You are working in harmony with universal principles. That's when wealth flows with velocity, because the river no longer meets resistance. You've cleared the debris of fear and self-doubt. You've broken the dam of procrastination. And now the floodgates open. And as it flows, you expand, not just in bank accounts, but in soul. Not just in possessions, but in perspective. You begin to see money for what it truly is, a tool, a magnifier, a force for good in the hands of the awakened. You begin to use your wealth to build, to bless, to create, to elevate. You reinvest it into your dreams. You multiply it with intention. You pour it back into the lives of those you're meant to uplift. Because true wealth is not accumulation. It is circulation. It is not about what you can get. It's about what you can give without ever fearing lack again. Because you know whatever you give returns multiplied. Whatever you release returns in waves. That is the rhythm of the wealthy mind. It gives, it grows, it glows. It walks into every room with an energy that says, I am not chasing anything. I am attracting everything that's already mine. And now, so are you. So here is the final truth. You don't need more time. You don't need to be more ready. You don't need to wait for another sign. This is the sign. This is the awakening. This is the breaking of chains. This is the day your old identity dies and your new destiny begins. The person you were yesterday is gone. The one you were pretending to be erased. The struggle you thought was permanent dissolved. From this moment forward, you no longer think like the poor. You no longer act like the afraid. You no longer speak like the doubter. You are wealth. You are power. You are divine potential in motion. You are a magnet for miracles. You are the architect of riches. You are the force that changes generations. You are the proof that wealth is not just possible. It is inevitable, because you have done what most never do. You have reprogrammed your mind. You have declared a new standard. You have crossed the threshold. Now go and live it. Walk like it's already yours. Move like the doors are already open. Speak like the money is already flowing. Give like abundance is endless. Work like destiny is pulling you forward. And believe, and with every breath, that the universe is conspiring to bless you, not someday. Now, you must keep in mind the following. Repetition is the sculptor of your destiny. You will not become what you visualize once. You will become what you visualize consistently, daily, obsessively, until your brain starts adjusting your behaviors, your standards, your environment to match that inner self-image. That's not magic. That's biology. So listen this lesson again and again and again until it gets installed in your brain and in your subconscious mind until you realize the results you seek.